Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
Your weekend is not complete without the First Lady of New York Radio. It's the Joan Hamburg Show. Talk Radio 77 WABC.
Welcome to the Joan Hamburg Show. And I'm going to say welcome to New York City. There are so many things going on. I took myself for the second time to the Jewish Museum in Manhattan, where the show New York 1962 to 1964 is so fabulous. It's from artists in the early 60s, from magazines, from the civil rights movement. It's all there, and it's quite fabulous. I loved it, and beautifully hung. I just couldn't stop. And it's so easy to walk through it. So come on in, take yourself to the museum, and then when you come out, walk to Madison, you're on 5th, and turn left. And there's a little bakery. I think it's part of the Seta Mezzo family, and they have outdoor chairs, and they have a nice sort of glass enclosed area, again outside, and have a delicious little something with a cappuccino, iced or plain, and it makes for a lovely morning or afternoon. And by the way, the Jewish Museum is open on Saturday, too, which a lot of people don't realize, and there's no admission charge on Saturday. So it's a wonderful thing to see, and I'm going to tell you later, too, about all the theater I've seen and all the great shows. So enjoy. We have a wonderful show today with great actress, singer, writer, director Christine Ebersole, and wonderful actor John Slattery. The Joan Hamburg Show, Sunday at 2.
The First Lady of New York Radio.
This is Joan Eats.
Coming into Manhattan, there are a lot of good shows opening at the various museums. In fact, there's a fabulous show at the Jewish Museum on 5th Avenue and 93rd Street. But all of the museums have interesting and good shows. Or whatever, you're coming in to shop, you just want a little adventure in Manhattan, and you don't want to break the bank when it comes to lunch and dinner. So let me tell you about a casual seafood chain, which has 6 locations in New York called Seymour's. Did you ever hear of the meatball shop in Manhattan? It's good. I like it. Well, the owners of the meatball shop is one of the people behind Seymour's. Very casual, a fish shack menu. It's SEAMORES at 278 3rd Avenue between 73 and 74. 212-597-9220. And their wild-caught seafood, they say, is caught 24 to 48 hours before you eat it. And their website, Seymours.com, gives a list of all their sources. What I like, we were just there the other night. They have very nice outdoor, if you don't mind being a little nippy. They have tacos on the menu, which at dinner time is not that usual in this kind of restaurant, and they're under $20. They have really good salads. The main dishes are delicious. I was with my cousin Nancy, who's a great cook and loves really good food, and she had the red curry mussels with fries. They were really good. They have lobster, mac and cheese. They have fish and chips. And if you don't eat fish, well, you wouldn't go out of your way to come here. But they have steak frite. They have a burger. And I think they may have a steak. But basically, it's fish. And the mains are really, really good. I absolutely enjoyed my dinner. And I had the daily catch. The price was good. And they come with sauces. It's a good place to know about. And we also started with crispy squid. It was delicious. You know how you can get calamari in a lot of restaurants and it's tough and chewy? This was almost like tempura. It just melted in your mouth, and the squid was so tender. And a lot of people were ordering buffalo shrimp, crispy shrimp with an herb ranch dressing. They have oysters. They have all kinds of sushi and soups. I think you're going to like it, but you absolutely need a reservation. So I'm going to remind you again, 212-597-9220, Seymour's, SEAMORES.com.
Is anyone out there?
Another salesperson enduring the endless search. Exhausting. If you want to get right to the right conversations, you need LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Whether you're looking for new leads or strengthening existing relationships at your top accounts, get right to the right conversations with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Try LinkedIn Sales Navigator now with a free 60-day trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial.
Terms and conditions apply!
The First Lady of New York Radio, Joan Hamburg. Entertaining and informative. Talk Radio 77 WABC.
It's wonderful, it's marvelous. You should care for me. It's awful nice. It's paradise. It's what I love to see. You made me feel so glamorous. You can't blame me for feeling.
We have a great guest today, one of my favorites, Christine Ebersole, two-time Tony-winning actress, singer. You've seen her on the CBS sitcom Bob Hart's Ebersola, a brand new album which is going to make you so happy. And you're going to, again, reconnect with Christine's amazing life. The album is called After the Ball, and you can get it through Club 44 Records. Well, I've been talking to Christine since she came to New York, moved to New Jersey with her kids, and it was all after her agent, when she called to check in one day to see was there anything going on, any work, and he said, sort of a little snide, well, you are, and he mentioned an age, meaning she's too old to work. And you just want to hear that from your agent. It's a good way to start the day. So tell what happened after that. I mean, you know, the agent is God, and God said you're too old.
Oh, my gosh. Well, first of all, I just want to say I'm so happy to talk to you. Oh, my gosh. It's been such a long time. And, you know, like you said, I feel like, you know, my career is just parallel with knowing you and talking with you and checking in with you. So, but here I am. After I was over the hill, you know, I was too old to work 30 years ago. And it's been going on ever since. But yeah, no, the album, I'm very thrilled about the album with Club 44 Records, and it just, it's a very personal album. It's about empty nesting when the children grow up and leave, and you're nearing your dotage.
That's, and trying to hang on the best you can. I still remember when you came here, and I said, what made you move? I forget, was it Maplewood?
Maplewood, New Jersey.
Maplewood,
Mm-hmm.
and it was...
We're still there.
You didn't even have a clue. You just moved to New York, moved to Maplewood, and I remember that, I think it was your daughter. Was she the swimmer? I mean, you had all these things going on, 3 kids, and then...
The gymnast. Yes, she was a gymnast.
And now I take it that they're all out of the house. I remember your mother was living with you. You had a packed house.
That's right. Oh, my gosh. Such a good memory. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And you got a Broadway role. You barely unpacked.
I know. It was, I guess we moved from Hollywood to Maplewood. That's why I say what a difference a leaf makes.
Right.
That was in 1999.
Wow.
And we're still in the house. We're still at the same house.
Yeah, only this time
After all these years.
the kids are gone. And here you are, 2 Tonys later, 20 Broadway and off-Broadway shows?
Yeah, and now I'm in Los Angeles. Right now I'm speaking to you from Los Angeles because I'm doing Bob Hart's-Abishola. So we have an apartment here in L.A., so we're kind of bi-coastal for now. The house is in New Jersey, and we have a beautiful apartment here, and, I'm working at Warner Brothers.
And are you having fun? Is it enjoyable?
I'm having a blast. It's such a fantastic cast, and it's just, I'm so grateful at my age to be able, to just still be on the playing field.
Well, you never were off the playing field. I don't think I ever knew a performer who did more Broadway shows than you did. And yet I remember you once telling me that of all the shows, when you played Edie and Little Edie in Grey Gardens, that was really a powerful experience for you.
It really was, Joan. It really was. And it was kind of life-changing, really. That was 15 years ago.
Yeah, and that was a big thing. But why was that one in particular? And I think I've seen everything you've been in, and I love that. But why was that in your life, the one that had the biggest effect?
I think partly, it was playing both of those roles, Little Edie and the mother, Big Edie in Act 2. But I don't know. I think it was like an identification in a sense of this person who is born into this certain segment of society that, where her aspirations were frowned upon. And it was just sort of like how a caged bird becomes free, in a funny, odd way, because it was really when they were in high society, they were in a gilded cage. But then when everything fell apart, they were free to be who they were in the rubble,
Right.
There's an odd kind of mix. But it just, it was very special. It's very hard to describe, really, about it. But, of course, the music and the lyrics of Scott Frankel and Michael Corey and, Michael Greif and William Ivy Long, and, I mean, just the Mary Louise Wilson, just like the amazing cast and the direction and the music and all of that. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it was very life-changing.
No, and you work all the time. Licorice Pizza. That was...
Yeah.
Lucille.
And that was during the height of the pandemic.
Yeah, well, when everyone thought they weren't going to work. And the truth is, most people didn't work.
I know. It's unbelievable. No, it's unbelievable. I don't know how. I don't understand it. I really don't. I'm just so grateful. And, I'm just so appreciative.
But you're good. I mean, if you weren't good, it wouldn't have happened, and it's good. Did you ever...
I don't know. There's something else I think that really goes into it, and that's just, I guess, perseverance. Really, through the storm and all that,
Never give up.
You still keep going.
Never give up, and it's also something your mother. If you're lucky enough to have a mother that thinks you are perfect, that you can do anything, be anything, that is very helpful in getting through.
Well, that was my father too. My father was really the champion. He was when I was doing On the 20th Century, and I was understudying Judy Kay, and I called him on the phone and I said, Dad, I'm going on tonight. Got on a plane from Chicago, flew to New York, and sat in the front row that night.
And that was such a big break.
I had very supportive parents, very supportive. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I was very blessed in that sense.
Now, of the 3 kids, any of them interested in going in the business?
Yes, my son Elijah actually is doing a play in Brooklyn right now called, oh my gosh, Something to Kill. It's, I'm forgetting the title. It's one of those kind of interactive plays.
Yeah.
That, where you go from room to room. The audience goes from room to room, and they solve the murder mystery. That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, super fun. I got to see it when I was on hiatus, and I went back. He's wonderful. We sang together on stage when he was like 20 years old. He's very talented.
That's
and
fantastic.
Just has that, that je ne sais quoi,
Right. So are the 3 of them out of the house already?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's
and
got to be.
Here in L.A. Maymay's here in L.A. Aaron is working at the media department at Rutgers University. He's the baby. And because he got a degree in graphic design at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia.
Good for him.
And Maymay's working in Los Angeles, and so she's nearby. I'm so grateful in that sense, that my beautiful daughter is here, so we get to hang out,
Right, I know, and it's hard when they.
So I'm not completely alone.
Leave.
And Bill is holding down the fort in New Jersey, and we have these. We don't have any grandchildren yet. I'm still hoping, but
they're young, of course.
Yes, of course, but time moves on, and you know how it goes. But
does he have?
Our grandchildren now are 2 miniature dachshunds. So
they're so cute. They're not the wired hair.
The animals, Joan. Don't forget. Remember this. All the millions of pets we have. We don't stop.
Gosh.
Oh my gosh.
And you had a bird. Do you still have?
We still have the bird.
That
Big
bird.
Yes,
oh my gosh.
We do FaceTime together.
Oh, you are too much. So between the doxies, the bird. Oh, it's very funny. And
so we have 4 cats and 3 dogs and a cockatiel.
So Bill is taking care of all these other children.
And of course the house. That's always something to. You know what I mean? There's always something when those old houses, especially.
I know. I live in an old house, and there isn't a week, a day when something doesn't say, you better call the plumber or the contractor or something. How many things can go wrong? But they do.
Everything.
No, everything.
Yeah,
but tell me.
I'm coming back. I'm going back in November because I'm being inducted into the Theater Hall of Fame, which I'm really thrilled about.
That's
on
big
November
time.
14th. Yeah. And then New Year's Eve, I'm going to be up in Provincetown with Billy Stritch.
Oh, well, you work a lot with Billy. That's fantastic.
It's been a while. I mean, we were down in New Orleans last weekend. It was the first time that I was singing and did an evening of performing since the lockdown. So it had been
Wow.
like almost 3 years. It and all those doubts and fears kind of creep in. I think it did a psychological number on most people.
It did. And
yeah, absolutely did. Like psychological warfare. But again, it's just how you prevail. It's like you just got to keep going.
Yeah, but you're good at that too, and
Well,
but
it's I try to remember that, because a lot of times your fears can really take a hold of you, and you think it's over, and you think it's too late, and it's already passed you by, and it's not going to be possible now, and
look at how
as you're getting older and all that kind of stuff, and it's really, what I think it is, Joan. I think it's just a matter of how you can feel useful.
Well,
if you can still be useful, and that's in any form. It's not just performing. It's like, helping out a neighbor, or, being able to bake some banana bread, or, cook a meal, or, just something like that just you feel that you're do some gardening, pull the weeds,
Right.
something that's where you can be useful,
Well,
and you have a task.
Well, and you know how to do it. But I'm curious, after the ball, which Club 44 Records has come out with, what brought that out? Did they go look for you, or did you say, this is something on my list, I want to do it?
You mean to make an album?
To make a new album.
Yeah, I think it was just really the inspiration was what came out of the children leaving the nest and going off to college. This was 6 years ago. I was asked to do a concert to do a stint at the Carlisle Hotel. This was in 2016. And we were in Chicago doing War Paint. Larry Yerman, who was the musical director of War Paint and Grey Gardens, he's one of the producers, me and him produced the album. But we decided to, after we were asked to go into the Carlisle, which I did the evening with Larry Yerman, and that was the impetus behind it, that was the inspiration behind it, was the children leaving and how, and what that made me feel. And then again, it's sort of like your identity is sort of wrapped up in that. And it's like after they're growing up, it's like, well, what do I do now? Kind of thing.
Right.
It's like, who am I? Where do I go? What do I do? It's like, are you useful? Are you able to? How does it change your relationship? With your children and the world around you, and how can you still grow with that? It doesn't end, but it changes. And so that was the inspiration behind that. And so when we did the concert at the Carlisle, and we were there for 2 weeks, we thought, let's go into the studio and make this. And it was fraught at the time because one of the players, his wife was very ill, and he couldn't, Larry Saltzman, he couldn't participate in the gig. And so we hired this amazing guitar player, John Benthal, and Mary Dorman Fanoff was the cello player. So we were all gathered together, but it was fraught. It was just fraught. And so we kind of stored it away for 5 years.
Wow.
And then we came, when the lockdown came, that's when we said, let's go back in and see what we can salvage. We probably have to do the whole thing over again. And instead, we found, buried treasure. It was all there. So that's how that happened.
And was Club 54 with you all along?
No, Club 44 Records, no. That actually, they came about when it was ready to be released.
Mm-hmm.
And, we found each other, and it's been a really, really, really wonderful experience.
And Christine, I'm talking to Christine Eversole. Was it cathartic when you finished that and the kids were gone? And did you feel you were on solid ground again?
Yes, yes. There's something about, I mean, like I say, it's a very personal record in that sense, but it really asks the question, you know, how do you move forward with all of this? You know, you have this loss of, like, you know, the youth and when they were babies and all of that, just this wonderful chaos that was going on. And, you know, then the house is quiet and it's empty, and it's, how do you, as they're moving on, making their own lives, how do you stay useful? And it again, you have to reexamine how you can be influential and be useful as a mother to a grown child.
Right, and it's
a wife and a parent and a friend, and, you know, living in this world, you know, with all of this experience remembered, you know, that hopefully there's some wisdom in life experience that you can share with those that you love, you know. But
even with your fantastic talent and the Tonys and the Broadway shows and everything that you do, the television, it's always been interesting to me that your role as a mother has been so strong, and that need to parent and be so present. It's not that usual for people who have because so many people who don't know you, you know, really personally know you as a talent, they know about Broadway, they know about your gorgeous voice, but it's your mother role that is so strong in your life, as along with the entertaining and the singing and the Broadway.
Well, I think that's because, you know, I think what, you know, having the career that I had or have, but it's mostly had, you know, in terms of when the kids were growing up, there was a lot that I missed out on, you know. And I think that that was a struggle for me, because I didn't like that, you know. And it's really kind of erroneous to say you can have it all. I don't think that's really true. If you have a life on the stage and life in a career that way, that oftentimes the children are sacrificed in that sense. Mm-hmm. In other words, that you know, I mean, of course, you know, you have to have a roof over their head and food on the table and, you know, things like that, clothes on their back.
Right.
You have to be responsible for that. And at the same time, the nurturing that goes with, you know, the traditional roles of motherhood are not, you can't do it all, because you're on stage, you know, no. at bedtime, you know, singing the 11 o'clock number and wondering if they brushed their teeth. So, you know, it's very conflicted in that sense. But
they got it.
But in the end, the motherhood is the legacy.
Exactly.
That's what you pass on. I don't, you know, it's like you can pass on your Tonys. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, it does mean something, but it's not like.
No, but it doesn't in the end. It doesn't
right.
in the end, because it's your relationships. It's your relationships with your children.
I believe that. I think it's really important. And, you know, when my daughter was little, she used to say to me all the time, "You're not here when I need you. You're not a milk and cookies mommy."
Yeah.
And I never forgot the milk and cookies mommy. But the truth is, I thought I was there. You know, I was there as much as I could. I would sit down to dinner with them all the time. But, you know, kids have their perception.
Get that, you know.
Well, that's right. But they had something else. And they had a father, too, who was very much a presence in their lives. Yeah. Not to mention a talking bird. Not every kid has that. I mean, visiting your house was quite an adventure for most people.
It was zookeeping.
That's right. I mean, they had a lot of other experiences that most kids couldn't dream of.
That's true. But you see, that's
funny.
The thing is that's the beauty of motherhood. It's ongoing.
Right.
It's ongoing. You never stop being a mother.
Right.
And even though it changes,
do your kids today tell you how they feel?
well, certain ones.
Right.
Certain ones can do that. Yeah.
Well,
everyone has a different personality, but it's like the love is the love is for all, and the love that I feel from all is equal in that sense.
Well,
it's genuine.
I love talking to you, and I want to remind everyone out there, it's a gorgeous recording after the ball. It's a new album from Christine Ebersol. Club 44 Records is where you're going to get it, wherever music and records are sold, and it's going to make you feel so good, because we all go through different chapters in our life, and many of them center around family and love and children and needs, and it's all there in this album, so this becomes part of you too. All the best to you, Christine. I look forward to seeing you.
I can't wait to see you, Joan. I miss you.
Take care of yourself, and I know, even though you think you're too old, you're going to be back on Broadway. I know it, and I'm like a witch.
Oh, my.
So,
okay. Your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah, I know. He's listening. All right. Take care of yourself. You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
You too, dear. All right.
I'm Joan Hamburg, and I've been talking to the one and only Christine Ebersol. Go listen. It's really special. After the Ball. Stay tuned. There's lots more ahead on WABC.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Taking you behind the curtain. It's the Joan Hamburg Show. Talk Radio 77 WABC.
Welcome, everyone, to the Joan Hamburg Show. And I can tell you that everyone at the station, when I said that John Slattery was coming on, was so excited. John is a great actor. He's a director. You know him from so many roles. And a lot of you mentioned your favorite, Roger Sterling Jr. in Mad Men. He got nominated for every award you can imagine with that. He's acted in movies, on television, and has done absolutely incredible things. And he joined the season, turned out to be the final season of The Good Fight. So I'm curious, and welcome to you, John. Did you know it was going to be the final season when they reached out to you?
No, I didn't. I got a call somewhere in the middle of the season from Michelle King. So I took it personally, and I figured I was responsible for tanking the whole thing. But I found out since it wasn't my fault.
No, not your fault. Not your fault at all. But it is interesting because successful show, hot show, they just decided, enough is enough?
I guess. I mean, as stories run their course and it becomes maybe an uphill battle not to repeat yourself. And they've never been afraid to go at issues, political and otherwise. And they're tireless, Michelle and Robert King, that is. And I don't know. I guess they just – I don't know what went into it. I just got a phone call thinking I was being, taken to the woodshed because I'd only done a couple of episodes. And sometimes you get a call to say, listen, you're thinking of it this way, we're thinking of it that way. There are adjustments made in the course of a season of TV, and I kind of figured that was the call. And she said, no, everything's fine. I'm just calling to tell you this is going to be our last season. So
it's which is quite surprising because it's so relevant. I mean, the script is so relevant where It couldn't be if they knew, looked in a crystal ball and knew what we were going through in this country, and that how people feel that they can't take anymore, they need relief. And your character is, the doctor who's there providing relief to people and really believes that he can make a difference. So we're sort of sad that it's the last season, because we're coming along on this interesting ride, and this ride is not over.
No, it's amazing how relevant it is and how quick they have to turn something around for it, because you know how fast those news cycles rotate and become old news. And but I don't know. I guess the big picture of it is how deluded people are and how frustrated and tired they are of things not changing and things staying the same. And that's kind of what Christine's character is suffering from when she comes into my office.
Right, Christine Baranski.
And
the doctor, the good doctor, John Slattery, is helping her out of her misery in many ways. So
by helping her, but basically microdosing. It's something akin to a ketamine trip, where someone who isn't being helped by conventional therapy comes to my office, and these offices exist. I didn't know much about it before this, but I've read a lot of stuff on microdosing, and it's people are doing it all over the place. And
and hallucinogenics.
But in just to the degree to which it changes your consciousness or elevates mood or lifts you out of depression or a state of chronic anxiety, or and gives you a little perspective, a little sort of gets you above the clouds to see clearly for a minute. And so, I mean, people are doing it, and that's the reason she comes, because she just feels like she's on a hamster wheel of things not changing, despite how hard she's worked to do just that.
Right. And an interesting part, and when it was offered to you, there were two of you who were the newcomers, with Christine Baranski and Audra McDonald. So, great cast and a great opportunity, especially when you didn't realize, no one knew then that this was going to be the final season, which the audience, don't make this the final season. We need more. We're still involved in this world that is not, needs a little help.
Well, it's happened before, shows that decide to cancel or, quit. People write in or let them know how desperately they want them to stay, and they decide to change their minds. So you never know.
Well, that would be good. And how did you get through the pandemic? Were you working at the time?
I was working right up until the pandemic. In fact, the first person that I knew that got COVID was a producer on a show I was doing in Chicago. And I came back to New York, and my wife and I and her mother and my son, our son, who was in college at the time, and they, made everybody go home, went out to Long Island and basically isolated like everybody else.
Right.
It was stressful. My wife's mother was 85, 86, whatever at the time, and this was, the OG COVID, which was killing people left and right, and so it was pretty stressful. And my wife had it right away, right out of the gate. She got it like day one, and she had it pretty mildly, but it was very stressful.
Did the rest of you get it, or just your wife?
Just my wife got it, and I got the Omicron later, as did my mother-in-law, and it was fine. She skated right through it. But, we had friends. We lost friends and acquaintances, and had other friends get it very badly. And so if they had gotten that one, it would have been a different story.
No, tough. Did your son end up going back to school?
He did. He graduated last year, yeah.
Oh, you're kidding. Is he involved in theater or in the entertainment
At this point, he's
world?
trying to figure out. No, he's an art musician and an artist, and he has acted in a few things, but he's trying to figure out what he wants to do. He's currently in Germany with some friends, just kind of figuring it all out.
Yeah, well, is he in Berlin?
Yeah, he is.
That's, it's so interesting. Years and years ago, kids would go off to Oregon, to Portland to try to find themselves. Now, I can't tell you how many kids your kids' age I know who go to Berlin. And it's
that
become
seems to be the
huge,
spot.
Right? It's a huge scene there.
Yeah, he's there with a bunch of friends right now.
Yeah, and probably having a ball.
Seems like it, yeah.
So once you finish this season, The Good Fight, are you going to relax a little or on to the next?
I finished shooting that a while ago. I just finished directing and producing a movie that John Hamm and Tina Fey are the stars of, and I'm trying to sell it to somebody. We shot it during COVID. It was tricky. We shot it in Albuquerque, which was also tricky for a lot of reasons. And it turned out great. We just finished it. It's a comedy about a double murder, but I've just literally finished it, so I'm looking to do something else.
Right, but are you going to wait till you sell it first, or?
No, I mean I'll do something else, and someone else is in charge of selling it. I've done all I can. I've made it, and I've put it out into the world, and now, it's a strange time to be. I mean, who knows who's selling, buying, and how people are viewing movies these days. I mean, it's mostly streaming, I guess, but
I know
those grounds are shifting all over the place.
I know that is the big question. How are we going to see movies? What's going to happen to movies?
Right.
And the truth is that if there are comedies or thrillers, you need an audience. You need to be in the theater and feel the laughter or the tension around you, and it changes the movie.
It's such a good point, because I just saw it. We did a screening in L.A. for distributors, and it's the first time, because of COVID, that I got to see it in a room with 75 people, and it got all the laughs that I had intended. But I have been watching this thing in rooms with 2 people, 3 people. A big group was 6 people because of COVID, and it's completely different. And it really was validating and gratifying to see that. I was like, well, I'm not insane. I knew that was funny, and but then again, half of the distributors got links, so they'll watch it in their office at work by themselves.
I know it's not
good. Which, weird.
I know. And I'm a big comedy movie person, and you just can't see it alone streaming. It just changes the whole personality. But if you're in that business, you've got a lot on your plate to deal with.
And it is what it is. You can't hold out expectations of something that isn't realistic. I kind of threw out the theatrical expectation a while back, just because it does, and I'm okay with it. When I went in to make it, I was like, I don't care if somebody watches this on a television by themselves. I'm okay with that. I'd rather they didn't. It would be better in a big dark theater with a group of other people. But you're kidding yourself if you think that's the way it's going to go down.
Yeah, no, we're living in a totally different world. So we have to learn to adjust to it in many different ways. And when you started working, unlike a lot of actors I know, it's like nothing comes easy to anyone, but you started right away getting parts.
Well, I went to New York, and I had a bunch of odd jobs, and it took me about a year to get something. I wandered around and worked in a law office, worked in a bakery, worked in a gas station. I was a lousy waiter, all that stuff. And I eventually got some crummy plays. I did a lot of theater. I would go anywhere and audition for anything.
Do it, right.
But, but then once I started, I worked pretty consistently. Yeah.
In all of them, whether it be film or Broadway or TV, but TV ended up being a really big deal. And how soon in your career did Mad Men come along?
Pretty late. I mean, I was 40, I think, by the time that showed up. So it changed my sort of trajectory a lot because it became so popular, which was great. But that, I'd been around quite a while by the time that showed up.
Working.
Yeah, all the time, plays, movies, done a lot of theater as well, and was fine. And I think I had just done a season of Desperate Housewives, and but Mad Men, excuse me, was certainly the best job I'd had to that point. Probably, one of the things I'll be remembered for, I guess, if I'm remembered at all. Don't
underestimate yourself. That is going to be with you, and as well as other things too. It's just that I don't even think the writers knew, or you always wanted to resonate with an audience, but it hit hard and really resonated with an audience, and people talk about it all the time.
Well, luckily, at the time it kind of came along with the advent of the DVR or being able, or TiVo or whatever, you could capture it, so they didn't have to. If you missed the first season, you could go back and get it, and I think it definitely enhanced its popularity by people being able to get it on demand, and it's remained popular because of that, which is good because it holds up. It maybe partly due to it's a period piece, but it's really exceptionally well written, and I think they knew exactly what they were doing.
No, it's really good. And at this stage in your career, and you are popular, you've been and are being in major things in every kind of the entertainment world, do you still have to audition, or do you hear about something, or your agent calls you? It is
so funny. So funny you say that, because I'm dying to audition, but because I want to do something that I haven't done before. So when you do something that's successful, you get sent a lot of the same stuff, which is fine. But then you get to a point where, okay, now I've just directed this movie. Now my acting career has been on hold for a while between COVID and making this movie. So I'm ready to get out and do something different. But people aren't really, you get to a point, I don't know whether they feel like they're insulting you by asking you to audition, or they just don't audition. People put themselves on tape with their phones, which I'm fine with as well.
Deal.
Yeah, but it's so I don't. It's a funny thing. The world has changed in that regard too, where there was a time where to do something that no one expected of you required you to show them that you could do it, and now it's like, I don't know. I would relish that opportunity to show someone that I can do something unexpected. I guess everybody feels the same way.
I wonder about that. My daughter-in-law is an actress, and they were out visiting this summer. They live in L.A., and they came out to Long Island, and she was auditioning like crazy through the phone. I thought, well, how, and I certainly wasn't going to say anything, but how do they really know what you can do, even though that's what they're doing? It seems like it's really hard for the actor to...
It is hard for the actor because you have to be the cinematographer. You've got to find somebody to read with you. You've got to do all that stuff that's really not... It's not fair to the actors to do that. But that's just, that's just the way the world has evolved. But being on the other end of it while directing that film, that's how I cast the movie on tape.
Like that,
so it works.
Right?
And you just need an indication that the person is able to make an adjustment. They have an initial take on the part that might be good and promising, and they look right for the part, and they fit into the ensemble the right way. And then you get back in touch with them via whoever the casting director or directly, and you say, look, try it this way, a little slower, a little less apologetic, but blah, 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 whatever the direction, and see if they can make that adjustment. And you don't need it to be of great cinematic quality or of a full production. You're only, even in an audition with someone holding pages, you're looking for a mutability, an indication that they can work with you and make changes and take direction and stuff. So it does work. The taping thing works. That's how it, and
yeah.
So it's just like anything. It's just you got to find a piece of material that clicks with you and you fit into. So
right. And do you ever feel anxiety about maybe not working again or doing the kind of stuff you really want to do at this point in your career?
I do right now. I do.
You do. But you're in a hot series.
I know, but it's funny, it might be on now, but I finished shooting it months ago and then I've done this other stuff. So yeah, you always feel, it ebbs and flows like anything. Your confidence and your ability to sort of believe that it's all going to turn out, even though you've been doing this for 35 years and it's worked out so far. You always get the feeling, oh, this might be it. I guess this is it. Or you're doing something that isn't necessarily the most creatively satisfying thing in order to pay the bills or whatever. But yeah, you feel like that. I just turned 60.
That's a mere slip of a youth today.
Right? Yeah, it's right, but not necessarily in show business terms.
No.
So, there's the cause for concern, like everything else, shifts and changes as the days go by. Some days you feel fine about it, other days not so much.
Well, take a breath because you're here for the long run. John Slattery, one of our really great actors, and you can watch him. He's in his final season of The Good Fight, and we're all looking forward to seeing what's next on the Slattery plate. I'm sure something quite wonderful. All the best to you, John.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
I enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you again. All the best. Okay. I'm Joan Hamburg, and you're listening to WABC. Stay tuned. We have lots more ahead.
The First Lady of New York Radio.
This is Joan Eats.
Of course, this time of year, when it comes to Ask Joan, many of the questions concern Halloween. And a lot of you want to know what's going on at the Bronx Zoo, which is at 2300 Southern Boulevard in the Bronx. Just go to bronxzoo.com. And we checked, and there are still tickets to some of these events. Boo at the Zoo is a family-friendly Halloween tradition. Most of the things take place on the weekends, and they actually have a new after-hour scary evening event called Dinosaurs in Darkness, The Hatching. Now, when we checked, and it changes all the time, there were still tickets for Saturday the 29th, next Sunday. And Boo at the Zoo is the weekend event that runs only on the weekends from 10 to 5:30. Come dressed, bring the kids, use your Halloween costume, buy your tickets in advance at bronxzoo.com because they're not going to sell them at the gate. The admission is $41.95 for adults, $36.95 for seniors, and kids 3 to 12 are $31.95. Little kids under 2 are free. So Boo at the Zoo is a great Halloween event for kids of all ages, and they have pumpkin carving, great demonstrations. magic, mind reading, tricks. They have a spooky animal graveyard, animal-themed costumes, stilt walkers. It's really fun. And through October, it's the last chance to catch the Dinosaur Safari, which is a walkthrough where you get up close to 52 life-size dinosaurs and the like. So the zoo, too, this year, for kids 13 and up and grown-ups, the zoo is offering their after-dark haunted experience called, I just mentioned, Dinosaurs in Darkness. It's a thrilling, scary Halloween walk, and you go on an adventure that brings you up close with prehistoric creatures, and they follow the story of a rare dinosaur egg found intact after 66 million years, and it's ready to hatch. So you've got to go on, check out the time slots. But when I checked, there was still tickets for the 28th and the 29th. So check out bronxzoo.com/DINOS, Dinos in Darkness. Something really special for not only you, but your family. And by the way, we are now coming up to 3 o'clock. So I hate to say goodbye, but I have to. You can enjoy what's ahead and all day long on WABC. Have a great rest of Sunday, and I'm Joan Hamburg.
Plan on flying? In order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a real ID. Learn how to get your real ID today at tsa.gov/real ID or visit your local DMV.